Capcom loves the Switch. The PlayStation Classic launches soon, and Bethesda shows some love for the Switch as well. Love, love, love. Let's jump into it. What is up, guys? Welcome to episode number 16 of Diggity, a Video Game Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff James. As always, with me is the wonderful, the luscious co-host, Luscious Brody. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. I'm doing a Red Dead Diggity. Boy, I'll tell you right now. As always, you can follow Diggity Podcast on Instagram at Diggity Podcast. Join us. Over 200 people strong. Subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to. We're also on Spotify. We're on iHeartRadio. We're on Radio Public. We're on a bunch of places. And today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. That's right. You can get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/diggity. That's Diggity. You can get access to over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, your Android, your Kindle, or your MP3 player. So head on over to audibletrial.com/diggity to get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial. And let me tell you something about this, folks. Books. You need them. You need them for learnings. You need books for learnings. And Diggity's giving you your learnings. So head on over to audibletrial.com/diggity to get you your bona fide learnings. These books read to you. Incredible. Anyways, yeah, so that's the ads. Thank you, as always, to Amazon and the Audible team for sponsoring today's podcast. This is the Tuesday show, recorded on a Monday evening. Ooh, behind the scenes. So, with that is games coming this week. On October 30th, which is today if you're listening to this, Call of Cthulhu comes out to PC, PS4, and Xbox One. Hasbro Game Night comes to the Switch. Lego Harry Potter Collection comes to Xbox One and the Nintendo Switch. Risk comes to the Switch. Sports Party comes to the Switch. Holy Switch. Steep X Games Pass, okay, comes to the PC, the PlayStation 4, and the Xbox One. Trivial Pursuit Live comes to the Switch. Well, almost gave one of my best ideas, Travel Pursuit. Yeah. And, October 31st, Orphan comes to PC. Super Pixel Racers comes to the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. November 1st, Quiet Man comes to PC and PlayStation 4. November 2nd, the Diablo 3 Eternal Collection comes to the Switch. Also, the bundle launches, correct? On November 2nd as well, I believe?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Lego Harry Potter Collection comes to Xbox One and Switch. Oh, Jesus, what is this? Taikao no Tensujin Drum and Fun comes to the Switch. And,
nailed it.
I know what this is. That's that little happy little drum guy with the smiley face that you see.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then Taiko no Tensujin, maybe I'll say Taiko no Tensujin comes to drum session.
I don't think that helped.
Comes to PlayStation 4. November 5th, Moonlighter comes to the Switch. And because we got to add this, the PlayStation Plus games have not come out yet, have not been released. But Game Pass games for November have been released. And November 1st, Ollie Ollie 2 XL comes to Xbox One. Sniper Elite 4 comes to the Game Pass for Xbox One. That's awesome. That's a really good deal. Good job, the guys at Rebellion. Rise and Shine comes to Game Pass for Xbox One. Sheltered comes to Game Pass on Xbox One. And November 6th, Grip Combat Racing comes to Game Pass. So, tons of games come to Game Pass. Do we know which one's left? Are any leaving? Or is it just... They don't know. Did they make mention of that?
I think we made mention of it in one of our earlier episodes, but I think that was just for October. I have not seen which ones are leaving in November yet. I'll have to look into it. Maybe we'll... If I find it, I'll throw it in on the next episode.
Do they keep a set number each time, or is it just kind of up, down, like Netflix kind of?
I think it's kind of up, down. They always keep above 100 because that's their big claim, 100 plus games. But
right,
I don't know if they still have they're right at 102 all the time or how that exactly works.
We have 100 games and 7 varieties of Peggle. Anyways, aside from all that, we have fulfilled our obligations for the Tuesday show, telling you which games are coming out because we're a video game podcast. We've also talked about books that read to you, so that's important. Let's get right on into obviously the meat of this podcast, my friend, which is our first thoughts on Red Dead so far. I've played a crap ton of Red
I've
Dead.
played a lot, but not as much as you.
I'm pretty sure the economy of America slowed down. Friday,
definitely,
and into the weekend, and today, easily. So why don't you give your thoughts on it first?
It is absolutely gorgeous. I absolutely love this game. I'm constantly learning new things that you can do in this game. I just spend time on the subreddit, and there's always people showing new things you can do and things that happen to them, just bizarre things that nobody would ever think to do except for Rockstar. It is just incredible. And like you said, I mean, I'm completely addicted to it. I did not get to play as much on Saturday as you did, but I'm not too terribly far behind you. No, it's an amazing game. Every single little thing that it just shows the attention to detail that Rockstar put into this game and how much they cared about things that nobody would even notice.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't want to spoil any story.
Yeah, we'll leave it
any story
free.
or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, some of the side stuff that happens is just the different people that have a little, not really missions, but little encounters as you're just traveling through the world, going to your next thing. Like it takes me 10 times longer to get to wherever I'm traveling, wherever I'm riding my horse to, my horse Walker, Texas. Or Texas Walker, however you want to put it. But it just takes that much longer because you stop and there's everything from people being trapped under horses to some bastard that stole my horse.
Rude.
It was rude. That was awful. I was so pissed off. I was pissed off for like 45 minutes straight. It was awful.
The love for your horse is real.
Yeah, it was like somebody actually stole my real life horse, which I don't have a real life horse. But if I did, that's what it would feel like.
Horse sales are up.
Yeah.
Across this country.
Horse sales, cowboy boots, and cowboy hats
are up. For sure.
No, this game is just amazing. And I've played... I don't even know how many hours I've put into this game, and I haven't even scratched the surface. It doesn't even feel like I've scratched the surface. I mean, I'm still getting tutorial things, which is fine because there is a lot to keep track of and a lot of different things you can do, and it's almost overwhelming, but I think it's spaced out enough that it's not too bad.
Right.
And that's exactly why they've kind of delayed the online, because they want people to get in there and get used to actually playing the game. Because if you jumped right into online, I mean, you would just sink. There's nothing. I mean, you would just be fucked, in all honesty. But it's the game's incredible, and I'm excited to wrap this up and go ahead and get back to playing. So
we're playing tonight. That's right. That's right.
That's right.
My stuff on this, I'm right there with you, man. This is honestly, this is a perfect game. And it's not like it's like, oh, I had to put this many hours into it. I guess to start off with everything, I am 20% or 21 or something like that % through the story. So my goal on this when I wanted to play it was really, I wanted to go through the story. I really wanted after hearing how many hours you spent on this story, I really wanted to see what they were, all the hard work and effort they had put into the story. Not that the rest of the game doesn't matter, but I wanted to do the campaign and roll through all that, and then go back and do kind of all the all the other stuff, because the campaign teaches you all these other things like fishing, all these different things, and I won't get into crazy spoiler stuff, but
I should have prefaced that and said I'm 17% into the story, and I think it said 23 or 24% done with the game, or percent complete or whatever.
Yeah, I think I'm 20 into the game, into the story, and I'm 25.
Yeah,
the game or something like that. But yeah, it's been a long time since I've started up a game, and I've straight up from the first hour of playing it been holy shit, this is fantastic. I knew I was going to be addicted to it immediately after playing even the first half hour of it, and I'm holy crap. And then you just the way that it just it's a game that has like, I don't know. A lot of games recently have not made me want to be like, oh, what's next? What's next? Right. It's just kind of been like a thing like, okay, cool. I'm just going to play through this and beat this and I'll move on to the next thing. But I'm like actively like, oh my God, where's my camp going next? You know, where's this camp going? You know, what's happening next in the story? You know, what's wrong with Butch? What's wrong with this? What's wrong with that? You know, will they catch us? Will, you know, what does this mean? You know, all these different, it's just crazy. It absolutely makes me think a lot more versus a lot of video games. You can kind of read a lot of things and situations that are going to happen. And, you know, this has done the opposite for me. It's absolutely perplexed me in every way, shape, and form, and made me think so much. And that's why I like it so much, I think. It's not like okay, I just beat, you know, chapter 2. Great. Time to move on to chapter 3 now so I can beat this game. It's like I'm actively like, holy shit. I am way into this thing. Like Saturday, dude, I allocated like the whole day for myself just to play it because I wanted to just chill out after a crazy work week. And I spent the whole day playing Red Dead. And
I know you kept texting me about it.
Here's the thing though too. Me and my wife, like Janelle, sitting on the couch next to me, and she's just watching it. And she like played a little bit, but she watched it, and she's like, "This is incredible." Like before we went to film the podcast, we were just watching Monday Night Football, but she's like, "Hey, you're gonna play some Red Dead," and I'm like, "When the hell has my wife ever been like, hey, you're gonna play this video game so I can watch it?" Like, it, honest to God, is like a full blown movie. It's insane.
Amber did the same thing. She watched me the other day, and she's like, "I'll have to come back down here and watch you play here in a couple days or whenever we get time again."
Oh,
like,
my gosh,
oh,
man.
shit.
I know. It's crazy. It's insane. And the, like, what you hit on the graphics, just beautiful. Like, this game's going to win every award at the Game Awards. It's going to win
absolutely.
every award.
It's going to completely steal the show.
But it deserves to in every single way, shape, and form. Like when you were at the start of the game, I'm not going to go into it because I don't want to give spoilers. Like I hate that. There's probably people that haven't even played it yet or haven't got their hands on a copy yet. But in the first environment that you're in, versus and then you get to you work your way through the story and you get to a different landscape, a different environment, or a different biome, I guess as you call it. It is incredible how like you feel for the characters and just how like fresh everything feels, how alive everything feels.
Right.
How just like shit, dude. Like you're walking. Grand Theft Auto 5 was fantastic when it came out, right? Like we think about that. It's almost a 6 or 7 year old game, right? I
think it's 5 years, but yeah.
Is it 5?
5, 6. Yeah, 5 or 6.
5 or 6. Because it came out on like the last couple, like the last year of the Xbox 360, and so like that really set a bar, right? And I was expecting them to exceed it, but not by this high of a margin. I mean, this is absolute insanity. Like everything that you walk around, that you walk in, from the grass to the animals that you're hunting, to your own horse, there's like an absolute connection with everything, and you just completely feel like immersed in it fully without being like, oh wow, like that's a derpy deer, or like look at this deer, like you can see the pattern that it's running on.
Right.
Like everything is so, it's incredible.
Alive.
I mean, you're in, and to do that in a massive world. Like here's the hilarious thing. I texted Brody this on, I think it was Saturday. So I too got my horse stolen.
I know exactly what you're gonna say.
I too got my horse stolen, and I was pretty far away from the camp that I needed to go. So I saw train tracks. I saw a train coming. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go jump on this train. So I jump up on the train. I jump up on the top of it, and I just kind of sit on there. And I'm like looking around. I'm like, oh wow, this is so pretty. Like this is so cool, because stuff's not loading like periodically. Like shit's fully rendered, fully loaded into the game. There's no bullshit. There's no glitching. There's none of that stuff of like, oh wow, look, that deer just popped out of nowhere. Like no, there it is, like way out in the distance, and now it's running towards the train. And oh, now it just hit the train and it's dead. Because I will say that the deer in this game are absolutely retarded. Like
I ran over so many with my horse.
I know, it's ridiculous. But irregardless of that, I was on the train and I lost track, just looking at everything because it's so beautiful. I was taking like photos and stuff like that. And I open my map and I'm like, oh shit, and I'm like way down in a different town. I won't name the town, but I'm like way down in the other town on the eastern side of the map. And I was like, shit, not supposed to be here. And then I'm like, okay, well, how do I get back? I couldn't find any horses. So I was just like, okay, like, I guess I'm going to have to just ride this train. So I rode the train for 40 minutes. And that train, listen, the train did not go around the whole map. This loop was just from, like, where I started, and then, like, maybe there was, like, another, like, little... Like, I'd say maybe like an eighth of the map revealed for me on the train route. And, like, the entire train route I'm going through, there's, like, tunnels. And inside the tunnels, there's shit written in the tunnels. There's, like, just insane detail to things that no one... There's parts that you can't even get to unless you're just on the train that you would never see or ever care about. And they're immensely detailed.
Yeah. I saw a video today on Reddit where some dude was like, hey, if you can't get through a door, you know, the door's locked or whatever, he's like, you can literally shoot out the window pane and jump through the window to get inside of that house. It's unreal. I mean, just stupid little stuff. Not even stupid, I guess, but just little stuff that nobody ever would pay attention to.
Yeah. Well, it's true human reaction. Like, it makes you... It's a game where, like, you're like, man, if only I could hit this window out. And most people probably haven't done that because so many of the games have limited them. But now it's like, I'm going to try to find my way.
I never even would have thought about it.
Yeah.
Because most of the time, if the door's locked, it's a artificial boundary. It's so you can't go in there, you know. But no, they literally lock it because they want it to feel like, hey, the people that live here locked it, but you can go through the window if you shoot out the pane, you know. Just all sorts of stuff like that. And another thing that I really, really love about this game is the character interaction. Like,
oh yeah,
Arthur is funny as hell.
Well, it's also full blown, like, conversation and dialogue. Like,
right, and it's not
bullshit, like, hey, how are you?
Right.
Oh, get the hell out of my face, partner. Like, it's legit stuff where it's like having a conversation, and you learn stuff. You learn stuff about the community, or like a task comes up that you were not expecting to do.
Right. And, like, Arthur, normally, you know, from Rockstar, you get, like, the GTA stuff where it's, like, the really just over-the-top satire type stuff, you know, where they have a beer called piss water and stuff like that, like in German. Yeah. But this is different. It is funny, but it's funny in a way that's fitting for the game. It doesn't feel like it's forced or like it's supposed to be this big world full of satire or anything like that. No. Like, this is I mean, he's funny in a way where he's this rough, tough, you know, outlaw, but he's also pretty witty, pretty charming in his own way, right? And so, like, just his interactions with other people inside the camp, or even out in some of the towns and stuff, or depending on which option you choose, like if you're talking to people and it gives you two options, like the way he handles and diffuses situations and all sorts of different stuff, it's just so well done and just so natural that it never feels like you feel like you are Arthur. Like, you feel like you are playing through this game as Arthur and fully just a part of this world, and every decision you make is, you know, affecting Arthur and what he's going to go through, and that ties back to you. And I think the way that they've done all that is just excellent. And, like, we were even talking yesterday when I was sitting at the campfire, you know, and in the gang camp there, and they were singing this song, and you're like, isn't that song hysterical? And I started listening to what they were actually saying, because I was kind of scrolling through menus and everything, and I'm like, good God, that's great. Like, every little thing. And, like, some of the songs, you know, like the one was just over the top crazy, and, like, Dutch said something about, hey, you know, how about we sing something a little less out there or whatever. I can't remember exactly what he said. And so then they changed it, and they went back to kind of more of your old, like, more of like a song you would picture outlaws singing around a campfire, you know, rather than, but it's just, there's so much just little stuff. Like, I found a guy that I helped in the world at one point in time, found him in one of the towns, and he bought me a gun. He literally said, just, you know, walk in there to the gunsmith and tell him to put it on my tab, and so I got a gun out of it. Like, just all these little encounters have such an effect on the world. And I've been playing kind of as a bad guy for the most part, because I end up finding myself in situations that I just decide I'm going to shoot my way out of, which doesn't usually go well. I end up getting my ass kicked a lot because I guess I kind of saved Deadeye more than I should have. I just wouldn't use it because I was like, oh man, I don't want to use it up. And that was a mistake, because fighting without Deadeye is a death sentence.
Oh Absolutely. Yeah, when there's a lot of guys, you definitely want to use Deadeye.
Oh yeah,
but yeah, I think you
100%.
hit the nail. I think you hit the nail on the head with, like, There's so much stuff in the game and so many little things in the game that it doesn't feel like I'm playing the same game as you, which isn't a bad thing. I mean, the thing is, when we do the campaign, we can connect because, obviously the campaign is the same for each title, but there's some interactions and stuff that changes based upon different story tree decisions that you make as a user. But I think the coolest thing is just definitely like the fact that I can sit there and be like, isn't that cool, that song? And like, you might have never caught that, but I caught that, and in my experience I can tell you about that. And then like, you're doing other stuff like the gun thing. I have not done that yet, where the guy goes and buys me a gun. Like I haven't done that, and that's not part of the campaign. This is a side thing from just chatting with people. And like, that's so cool. And like, I was thinking about today, it's like the difference between like going to like Disney World and then going to like a Six Flags, right? So like, a Six Flags is there to get your thrill, get out, essentially, right? And when you go to like a Disney park or something like that, it's the little tiny details and attention to detail that you look for as a person that maybe only like 10% of people look for, but that 10% is there for you. Right. And that's what makes it special.
Right. They have it for everybody. They got things that everybody's interested in across this giant expansion of a world. Yeah, it's just incredible.
I think, like I said to you yesterday, and I think it was a good point that I made, was that like, so the fishing in this game, like everything that you do in this game, the fishing in this game is just a small like part of the game. It's just a little piece of the game, but the way that you fish and the way that it works better than any other fishing game. The way that you hunt in this game works better than any other hunting game that's out on the market.
Yeah.
And it's just simply just a little piece, like a very small sliver of the game is hunting. Like, it just happens to be there, but it's better than going out and buying like a Cabela's Hunting or whatever it is. Not that, I mean, I don't buy those games, but I've played a lot of those games before from friends and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they're not very good.
The attention to detail on the hunting, I mean, it goes down to what gun you use,
it makes
where
you
hit it at. Like, the quality of the meat and the quality of the pelt all depends on where you hit it, what you hit it with. I mean, it just things like, if you go play, like you were saying, the Cabela's Big Hunt or whatever it is, you shoot it and it dies. That's it.
Yeah, it's and it just dies. Yeah.
But Rockstar went as far as to actually pay attention to details and
where you hit it. Yeah. Even when you're skinning the animal, it's like, I mean, aside from the rabbits, the rabbit is terrifying. Just like cuts the neck and then just like rips it like it's like a corn husk. It's terrifying. But like the deer and stuff like that, the way that he cuts it, the way that he skins it is proper. Like, I mean, it's pretty insane. And like, you actually feel for these things. Like, I hit a deer and it was running and I didn't get a good hit on it and it suffered. And I went up to it and had to like, end it with the knife. And I felt like shit. And I was like, damn, this game just made me feel like shit for not killing this thing properly. Like, I'm not going to do that again. Damn. But that's the thing. Like, it's the attention to detail with that allows you to sit there and be like, holy crap. Like, the detail that they put into it makes you feel. And ultimately, that's what makes it, such a stunning piece. And honestly, I don't know what game is going to come out that's going to contend with this. Fallout 76, no way, is going to contend with this. Not a chance.
The only play I can see Fallout 76 doing well in markets outside of America. See, the thing is, like, this game is such an American game, in all honesty, and it's still selling well elsewhere.
I'd say like America, Canada, and like UK. But yeah.
Right. But I guess they said, what was it, that FIFA still outsold Red Dead over in
Europe.
I can't remember I think it was the UK, but which I get it, whatever. But This game is just it's just amazing, the amount of detail, and like you said, there's nothing that's going to be even close to touching this. I don't think. I think Fallout will still do well, but it's not even gonna hold a candle to this. I mean, like you said,
marketing and stuff too, because I've seen a ton of ads. I actually really like the ad that they came out with. That's like the kind of I don't know if you've seen it, but it's the live actor ad.
Oh no, I didn't watch that one.
You should watch it. It's really cool. It like there's a lot of cool video game ads that have been coming out where it's like we're going back to that like kind of cool like 90s, early 2000s like live action feel, and like they're actually having like an actual effect on me, similar to like when the Xbox 360 had launched and you had the first Gears ad that was everywhere, the Gears of War ad to the song Mad World. Like we're starting to get back to that, and I think it's it's really cool to see. But yeah, I mean this game, this just set the bar so high, and I don't think anyone wants to hit it. I really don't. No. I don't think people want to hit the bar. I don't think people want to touch it, because I think the amount of work that goes into it, they're not focused on that.
I have no clue where you even go from here, though. I mean, if you're Rockstar, like you came out with GTA 5, 5 years ago, and at the time everybody's like, "Oh my God, this world's amazing. This is amazing," and people still say that, like it's still one of the most like streamed games, right? But then you talk about like Red Dead Redemption 2, and I don't know where the hell you go from here.
You make a kick-ass Grand Theft Auto, and that's what I'm excited for. Like, I know that you had mentioned that he had said, could you imagine a Grand Theft Auto in this political climate? I bet you they still come out with one.
Oh, I'm sure.
And
they will.
I bet you Grand Theft Auto is even somehow better than Red Dead. I'll flat out say.
Yeah.
Like,
I think in its own right it will be, but I think Red Dead has the unique ability to do things that Grand Theft Auto can't.
Right. I mean, I'm just so looking forward to a big city. And cars, and seeing if the interactivity of this world can work in that. Like some stuff
I will. A hammer and A to gallop.
It's not that bad, because I get what they're trying to do. Like, it's the feel of like how vast it is, and it is a massive map. Like, I only have like a third of the map probably unlocked, but the not unlocked, but like shown.
Yeah.
And it's not so bad, because in most cutscenes too, they like get you like halfway there or whatever. When you start getting to other ones down the road, like you'll just have like riding montages and stuff like that. So it takes a lot of that, kind of, let's call it fast travel for you, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll say a couple things that, not that I don't like, just a couple things that I've seen that'll probably get fixed. Subtitles. I've seen like a lot of the subtitles, like the subtitles is not what the person's saying, not like by a crazy amount off, but it's like a decent chunk off. Like, there's a couple managed words, or there's been a couple subtitles where I've been like reading it, and like some of them are different, which I don't care. At the end of the day, I have subtitles on just because like my wife was like cooking something in the kitchen, and I can I want to hear the game, and I can't hear it, but then I just left them on, and I could, like, from what I was hearing was not what exactly it was in subtitles, and that could also be for localization purposes. But
yeah, I was gonna say that's pretty common in subtitles sometimes, though.
And then probably just the deer. That's kind of a pain in the ass.
Well, I mean, deer are pretty fucking stupid in real life too. They are. So it's kind of fitting.
That is true, but yeah, no. Sometimes the deer is a little crazy. I wish my horse ran faster. Yeah, and I know you can get faster horses. Wish it ran a little bit faster. And sometimes the jumping for the horse is really like weird. Like, you don't
sporadic.
Well, because you don't control the jump around. Like, it just kind of does it. Like, it just kind of jumps over. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a bad one where I went across crashes. A bridge, and I was coming in at like an angle, and so it thought I had to jump over the handrail, and of course it jumped and cleared the whole fucking side of the bridge and went down in some ravine.
Yeah, man.
It was bad.
Mine, I hit a fucking tree head on with the horse.
Yeah,
fell right off it. But that's the thing, like, it felt like it was running for me, and like it was like moving out of the way of the trees, right? Like, that's what it kind of felt like. It kind of felt like the trees were like a little like slippery, like there's like little bumpers out of it. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I just kept running, and then boom, smashed into this fucking tree, just dead on impact. The horse just gone. And I was like, oh my God. So yeah. Before we wrap that up, you said your horse's name is Walker, Texas?
Yeah. Well, my first one that got stolen was. I have yet to rename my other one because I haven't gone back to the
stable?
Stable, yeah.
I have 2 horses.
But, oh, boy. What are their names? Go ahead.
Celine Dion. And Ty Pennington II. I'll give you a reason. 1, Celine Dion. It's a horse ahead of her time. Ty Pennington II. We're in the Wild Wild West, Brody.
God.
He's a maverick. He's a frontier. He's hitting the frontier. He's building homes for children with leukemia. He's pulling a big bus up in front of it, big wagon, and he's showcasing those homes across this great barren landscape that we call Red Dead. And that's why he's named Ty Pennington II. Just doing the Lord's work across the Wild West.
I got to think of another good name for my second horse. The one I have now, he can't be Walker, Texas, because I've already had Walker, Texas, and he has a special place in my heart, but he's gone now. So,
I mean, I thought about calling my first horse just Horse because of our podcast, which if no one's tuned into that, I forget which episode that was, but it was the one where Brody's like, yeah, there's like 19 species of horse. I'm like, of horses or whatever. I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, what do you mean? What do I mean? I was like, I thought there was just one kind of horse. And he's like, what do you mean? Horse? Like black horse, brown horse? He's like, no, man. It's like Mustangs. I thought Mustangs was just a fast horse. So, yeah, that could have been my thing.
Yeah.
But
well,
anyways,
you can have up to 3 horses, so your last one can just be horse.
I don't know what I might name it. I'll have to think about it. Maybe, I got it. Sarah Jessica Parker.
Yeah.
That'd be my last horse name.
Yeah. I wondered if I actually didn't see a whole lot of that on the subreddit, which surprised me. I figured that'd be all over the place.
Oh yeah.
Everybody and their brother thinking that they were the first one to come up with that.
Maybe Hillary Horston.
Oh god.
Oh my gosh. Midterms coming up. Vote. Vote for your favorite horse. Oh,
I'm voting for Ty Pennington II.
Absolutely. He's the only builder in this frontier. All right, man. Hit us with this next piece of news.
All right. So Capcom is showing a little bit of love to the Switch, which is awesome. There's been a little bit of love from Capcom, but this is just a little bit more. So Capcom is bringing Resident Evil 0, and Resident Evil 4 to the Switch in 2019.
In no particular order.
Whatsoever.
Good job, Capcom. This is awesome, man. This is cool. This is cool to see. Again, it's making the Switch a port console, but
yeah,
we'll have to see.
If I remember correctly, these are remastered. I don't think they're remade, but I do believe these are remastered.
Okay.
So yeah, no, I think this is pretty cool. I'm not honestly a big Resident Evil fan, but I know there are a lot of people that are, and I mean, I don't really play horror games in general, but it's just cool. Not my thing.
It's cool to see. I'm just hoping that when a lot of these companies get on here with their ports, that it eventually makes them go, oh wow, let's make something new, like brand new for it or exclusive for it, and bring the Switch up to where it needs to be, other than just being first party titles and ports of everything else, essentially.
I think Capcom is definitely working towards that, but yeah, there are a lot of things they do want to port over as well, which I get. I mean, they've brought a lot of remasters and things to other consoles, so I mean, it makes sense to bring them to the Switch, especially when the Switch really doesn't have a whole lot of quality horror games. So if you can kind of get in that market and kind of capitalize on that, I mean, weird. It's yours to take.
Because you can plug headphones right into it. You can just sit there, portable mode if you want, in a dark room.
It does seem pretty ideal. I mean, there's been a few, but I don't think any of them really did all that great. I think most of them kind of were received with just kind of mediocre reviews and
a little meh.
But
cool,
a little meh.
Cool. Another piece of news: IO Interactive recently interviewed with PC Gamer about the rocky development of Hitman 2, and we talked about this a couple episodes back, just about how they had been separated from them. From the Hitman series and franchise. So in May 2017, Square Enix decided to separate from the business, even though IO Interactive had been successful with the Hitman franchise. With the separation from Square Enix, IO was forced to lay off some employees to simply stay afloat. Associate Director Eskil Mol, I'm going to botch your name. I'm so sorry.
Nailed it.
Stated in the interview with PC Gamer, we had to let a lot of people go, but that made the team that was left really come together and say, let's do this. We believe in our product. We were already working on Hitman 2, and then this thing happened. Mole said that there's no bad blood between IO and Square Enix, and that Square Enix has been extremely kind to the company following suit. Square Enix allowed IO to walk with the property in hand and continue to make Hitman games rather than shutting the studio down, which is pretty awesome. And Warner Brother Games will publish Hitman 2 instead of IO. So that is interesting. I don't know if it's really going to hurt anything. I mean, Warner Games has done very good.
Yeah.
On a lot of
they've been
properties.
doing very well.
And I don't see this really hitting anything. I don't think this hinders anything. I think it's just a change of pace. Like it might have been something where maybe perhaps numbers weren't doing the best. I know the Hitman, and I got to get around to honestly getting more in depth on it. But on Xbox, and it might be the same on PlayStation. I don't know. But in like the free to play section, there's the Hitman like free to play like kind of like puzzle kind of style game, and that's a pretty hot game all the time. Like there's a lot of people playing that game.
So are you talking about the episode type? The way they did it, like the season. Yeah. No, that it was a good Hitman game. I mean, it was the way they released it was. The way they released it was kind of goofy. I think a lot of people were confused. I know when they first did it or kind of released it, I didn't really know what was going on either.
Right.
But they did release like what you're seeing, the free game, which was I believe the tutorial and maybe one other mission. Even that alone is good, but the whole game as a all together, all the episodes and everything, it came together to be a really, really good game that had support from IO for quite some time, and I think even up until fairly recently, it still had support. Maybe even now, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And I have the whole game. I think it went on sale, and I bought it one time, but I just haven't really played it, and I wish I did, but I don't have the patience for Hitman games personally anymore. Just because to do them properly, I mean, it does take some time and some planning, and I'm more of a kind of run in and fuck shit up kind of guy.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. Yeah, I think it's maybe, they want to go a different direction with it. Maybe that business model they weren't too pleased with. And, this is what happens, man. Companies move on. So hopefully IO software keeps itself afloat and continues to do so. And hopefully they come together and make their own, their own piece of IP. And hopefully it pleases everybody. I think I have faith in that company. I mean, I think they'll come through with something awesome. So on to the next thing, dude. You got a little bit of PlayStation Classic news or whatever for us?
So they finally released the full lineup of games coming out on the PlayStation Classic, which so what they have here, and this includes the ones that they have already announced. They have Battle Arena Toshinden, Cool Borders 2, Destruction Derby, Final Fantasy VII, Grand Theft Auto, Intelligent Cube, Jumping Flash, Metal Gear Solid, Mr. Driller, Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey, Rayman, Resident Evil Director's Cut, Revelations, Persona, Ridge Racer Type 4, Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, Siphon Filter, Tekken 3, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, Twisted Metal, and Wild Arms. So that's your whole list that you'll be getting on the PlayStation Classic.
And this is December 12th or December 7th, I think, or something like that. And it's $99.
$99. And there's insane. There's not anything on there that really reaches out and grabs my attention.
It's been a while, but forgive me if I'm wrong. The NES Classic and SNES Classic, they're $99 as well, correct? Or were they like $80 or $70?
No, the NES was $60 and the SNES was $80, I believe.
Wow! So it's like at $99. I don't understand why it's that much. Also, sorry, does not come out in December, I think. Or actually, yeah, sorry, December 3rd it comes out.
Yeah.
But $99.
Oh, by the way, you were wrong. Spyro's not on it, so just throwing that out there.
Yeah, that's crazy. No, it looks like they kept it to just Sony-based, based and Sony-held IP, I guess.
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, you got like Rainbow Six in there, which was
you don't know though. Like it might be they might own that specific one. Like Rayman, they might fully own like that. I guess Grand Theft Auto.
Rainbow Six was on 360.
I guess Grand Theft. What? No. Was it on 360?
Yeah, man.
Like remastered and on 360?
I'm pretty sure I remember playing Rainbow Six. Oh, no. Sorry. I was thinking of Vegas. Okay. Rainbow Six.
Like, they've got,
Vegas.
Like, obviously, Grand Theft Auto and Final Fantasy are different companies. But it's cool to see Twisted Metal on there. And I guess Tekken 3, that's kind of neat.
I wish they would have done Twisted Metal 2. Yeah. That's my only thing there. Because 2, improved greatly on 1. So
Grand Theft Auto... The first one, that's fine, I guess. I don't. This is not worth $99.
No, unless you are a diehard PlayStation fan and you just want it.
I don't even think this appeals to you though. If you're a diehard PlayStation fan,
well, collectors collectors want it just to collect it. I mean, if you look at a lot of these retro consoles, like they sound awesome and they tug on those nostalgia heartstrings, but most of the time people aren't actually playing them. I mean, religiously. Maybe you turn it on once or twice here and there, but...
Do you think, though, that there's, buyer's remorse or, hold somebody back from purchasing something at $99 for this versus, the $60 NES or the $80 SNES? Or perhaps
I think it just depends on...
if they come up with an N64 Classic, it's going to be $100. Who knows?
Right. I think it just depends on which camp you were in. I mean, if you were a diehard PlayStation fan, I can see you wanting to pick this up. I personally was not. I also think that these graphics are not going to age nearly as well as SNES or NES games, but
no.
I would at that time period I was a Nintendo fan, so I definitely was far more interested in the SNES and things like that, but I'm not. There's nothing here that makes me want to pick it up. Especially not to play the games, not even as a collector or anything like that. I'm not interested personally. If you're a diehard PlayStation fan, jump on in for $100, but I don't know. I'm underwhelmed.
I played a lot of PlayStation as a kid, from PlayStation Classic. My friend had it before we even had any game systems in our house, and this doesn't. I mean, I was looking forward to this. I was like, oh, this would be awesome. Be able to play some cool games I played in the past and, Army Men and Medieval, stuff like that. And it's like, nope, it's not even on here. And I'm like, oh, my God. I don't know. And it seems to be the internet, is kind of in the same following as us. It's like, okay, Cool. I don't think it's worth $100, but
no.
Cool. This is worth maybe 80. Be decent.
If it was at 50, I might be interested. But like I said, I'm also not a PlayStation guy. There's not a single game on there that I really remember playing to a great extent. I remember playing them, but not extensively. I don't have fond memories with any of these games. None of them are hitting that nostalgia for me. So
yeah, we'll have to see how this does in sales, my friend. In other news, beyond that, Bethesda has considered the Switch for all new releases, apparently, which is awesome. So during a panel at PAX Australia today, Bethesda marketing executive Pete Hines was asked some questions about Fallout 76, the possibility of it coming to the Switch, and the future of Bethesda games on the Switch itself. He said that the Switch is something I can say with certainty that it's a part of every conversation with every dev we have now about what we're doing going forward because we consider it to be a viable platform, he said. If the game will work on it, we want it to be on every platform possible. Fallout 76 is not because it just wasn't doable, but honestly, there is no game in development that we haven't had a conversation about bringing it to the Switch. Does this work on the Switch? Do you have a plan for the Switch? It's not a mandate. Everything we do has to be developer-led, but it's something developer-led, but it's something we want to make sure is on folks' radar. I enjoy us being seen as a third-party leader in terms of supporting Switch, he added. People go, hey, you've got a lot more stuff on Switch than this publisher or that publisher. That's what I want Bethesda to be known for. We're guys who will take some risks. Hines did say that the next Wolfenstein game will be coming to Switch despite the standalone game Wolfenstein Young Blood not being announced for the Switch up to this point. There is, however, a major third installment in the series in the works, but has yet to announce the platforms to which it'll launch on. This is cool. I think it's everyone's answer, honestly, for the Switch. I don't think it's special to Bethesda. I think Bethesda's really kicking ass recently, and everyone just kind of wants to know. But, his statement pretty much is, hey, if it's doable, yeah. Because why wouldn't you?
It's more money.
More market.
More people to sell it to, more people to buy it. I mean, some people buy it on multiple consoles. I mean, when they released Skyrim, how many times have they sold Skyrim to people, And then you get a portable edition of Skyrim, and of course people are going to jump on it.
Which I think is more powerful, right? Like, you take a Fallout and you put it into Switch, and, those are games that have never had portability to them, ever.
Right. So and on top of that, they're huge time sinks, so being able to take them with you is a giant selling point.
Absolutely.
I'm not even a little bit surprised that Fallout 76 can't run on the Switch. Currently, in the state it is in, it kind of seems like it barely runs on consoles, on other consoles like Xbox and PlayStation, so I didn't even expect them to talk about 76 being on the Switch, in all honesty.
And this is the problem I brought up, though. Like, the Switch is dooming itself. Like, it's shooting itself in the foot, taking all these ports, because it's not, like, dude, we get one more gen up, and, like, how are we going to be able to put any games on the Switch?
I am far less concerned about all the ports than I am all the shovelware bullshit that's making it onto the eShop.
Oh, yeah?
That is 10 times worse.
I haven't checked the eShop
mobile games, and oh man, there's some junk on there for sure.
Yeah,
and there's
that's their thing, right? They wanted to.
That was their thing this go around, yeah. And normally Nintendo's very strict about all that. They don't allow a lot of that, but this go around they're just letting anybody and everybody put something on there. I mean, you and me could make a game tomorrow in like an hour and probably get it put on the eShop. I mean,
Brody.
It's just. Let's do it.
What if they're just going to do like a Switch 2 and it's just the screen part that's upgraded and you still use the same Joy-Cons and you just buy that? Do you see that being viable? Like, I think that's viable for anything going forward. My thing is just like straight up, the next generations that come out, you're going to have a good like year or two where people are going to be doing back-genning anyways, but then it's going to turn into like, nope, we're doing it for just, let's just say PS5 and Xbox 2, which is stupid names, but yeah, let's just say that, right? So like this Bethesda's going to sit here 2 or 3 years from now and go, okay, so we're making games for the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox One 2, and that's it. And
the Xbox One 2,
the Xbox 1, 2, 3, and we're not going back. We're not going to go do stuff for the PlayStation 4. We're not going to do stuff for the Xbox One or the One X because it's been 2 years since that console. And the Switch is going to be back there because the Switch is already back another gen, or like kind of like a half point. as to where the at least the Xbox One is and the PlayStation 4, not even close to the One X or the PS4 Pro. And that's my worry, is it's going to turn into ports, shovelware, and first-party titles. And they're going to be stuck in the same fucking situation that they've been in every single time.
I think if they start cutting off some of the shovelware, they'll be all right. But the thing is, yeah, I know they aren't. But here's the thing. Like, Nintendo doesn't even try to compete graphically, and that's never been their strong suit. Their consoles have never been something that are, from a technical standpoint, they're not strong. Right. So if you look at something like the 3DS, like, it's still sold just amazing up until even probably the last year, and the graphics on those are not great.
But
and
I think that's because
they still get plenty of good games, and they still get a dedicated different developers are still dedicating teams to this to develop games for it. I don't think the Switch is necessarily going to be in that bad of a place where it's just going to be a shovelware machine.
Well,
I mean,
but the thing
people
is,
are still going to be making stuff for it.
The 3DS, though, is fundamentally the only option for portable gaming. People are going to be like, well, Jeff, the PS Vita. Okay. No, the PS Vita is dead. Like, the Vita, the whole
but
PSP
the Switch
line
steps
is dead.
into that.
Yes.
The Switch kind of bridges that gap.
The Switch steps into it, but the problem is, if you're going to sell your console like, how many people do you know actually dock the thing and play like 90% of the time docked? I'm usually playing the thing portably. Like, I don't.
I played portably personally as well, but I do know there are plenty of people that do it. I mean, I've seen some polls on it and everything online where most people actually say they play docked more than they do handheld. From what I've seen, which is surprising to me, because
I don't understand what they're doing. Like,
to me, it's the console that it's in a weird spot for me. I love my Switch, I absolutely adore it, but it's in kind of a weird spot for me, because if I have a chance to sit down and play on a TV, I'm probably going to play on my Xbox or my PlayStation. So I play the Switch.
Right.
If I'm watching something with the wife and I don't really need to pay attention, or I don't really care what we're watching, or I take it with me if I go on a trip, because it's a lot easier to port around than, Xbox or PlayStation or whatever. And so then when I do get a chance to play, I don't want to play a game that has substance to it, really. I'll just play something that kind of has nothing. And that's just because I don't want to burn through games, which just sounds stupid, right? I don't want to burn through the games that I have saved for when I want to play portably, which is absolutely asinine, but it's what I do anyway.
So throw Xbox with Cloud X in there. Now, what does the Switch have?
Nintendo IPs.
Right, like every other Nintendo console, but that's the problem. Like, they're always going to be stuck like that. Which
isn't necessarily a bad place for them to be, though.
But if you're also Nintendo and you can get things like a Fallout 76 on your system and be portable, you're killing it. You're going to rule everybody.
Yeah, but
that's the thing.
Fallout 76, there was never a chance in hell it was going to run on the Switch.
No.
Not a chance.
But I'm just saying that there's no chance going forward of a lot of games going on the Switch. No, Red Dead, never on the Switch. None of these things like going forward are going to be on the Switch.
There's still plenty of games that can make it over there, and Panic Button has proved that. I mean, Wolfenstein games are able to run on it, but a massive online game, no. Or you're one of the most gorgeous games of the last decade, but the best game of the last decade, I would.
But that's where we're going, though. Like, you look at like Spider-Man, like if you want to go back a little bit, even like Horizon Zero Dawn, Red Dead. Like, the bar is being set so high for games. And it's like, if your hardware is not going to keep up with that, like, you are just going to get older games ported to your system, which is fine. If people like that, that's cool. That's great. I'm just saying, from like Nintendo's perspective, like, I get they have their own IP, but if you can create something where your own IP's on it, and you can let someone, like, at this point, they could make anything and just make it, at least a technical hardware perspective, like, fantastic. It doesn't even have to be like a really cool looking console. Like, they usually make their consoles really neat and like obscure and different. They could just make like a normal box and just have Nintendo IP run through it. But if it had the technical capabilities to run most of this stuff, they would kill everybody. They would kill Sony. They would kill Xbox. Everyone. Destroy them.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Like, Nintendo has been doing this for a long time as far as making their consoles survive
They
predominantly
stopped
on
after
their
the
own
N64.
IP.
Yeah.
And they do get some third-party support, which is fine, but the thing is, they don't have to rely on that third-party support. And I get what you're saying. I understand they're not going to be competing with PlayStation and Xbox, but they're not trying to. That's not their goal.
No,
like the Switch sold absolutely batshit crazy in the first 2 years or year and a half, I guess. But I don't see.
My worry is people put their Switch down and they don't pick it up.
It's not going to happen. There's no way. Look at the 3DS, man. That 3DS was supported forever, and people were still picking it up. And the Switch, it bridges that gap. It does the home console thing, and it still does the portable thing. Yeah. So it's able to do things that it's not going to be the Wii U. The Wii U was a failure from the get-go. The Switch has already proven to be successful, so there's not. Yeah, but it's not really the same thing. How long does
success last? That's my only thing. It's just they're in such a weird spot where the next gen comes, and I don't want. When I mean I don't want it to be the Wii U, I don't want it to be a thing where, like, I own the Wii U, right? I don't want it to be a thing where, cool, I'm playing my PS5 game, cool, everything's great. Oh, a new Mario Kart came out? Okay, cool, I'll go back to my Switch after not playing it for months. Like, that's just what I hope doesn't happen.
There's going to be people that do that because things come in waves. So you're not going to be interested in every single game that comes out on the Switch, and that's understandable. But there will be something that brings people back. Right. And there's going to be plenty of people that are more interested in playing things on their Switch than they are anywhere else. I mean, just because that market doesn't apply to you doesn't necessarily mean it's not going to apply to the general public.
It's not just to me. I'm just saying, like, if your only thing is Nintendo games and you come up with a Mario Kart for the year or you come up with a Smash for the year, right? Right now, it's not a problem.
That's not the only.
No. But that's not going to be the only thing if they can't competitively keep up from a technical perspective. Like right now, they're having problems just putting stuff back, porting things.
Right, but by the time that Project Scarlet or whatever or Project Stream for Microsoft comes out, they'll have another version of the Switch out. There will be something.
You think they'll Switch that out middle console? Like 2 years?
Yeah, I think so.
Really?
Dude, it'll be 4 years old by the time they do that.
I don't think so. I think they'll just keep going.
Oh, absolutely. You think they're just going to leave the same one for how long you think it's going to take before they make another one?
Like 6 or 7 years before they
I'm not
launch.
saying a whole new. No, I'm talking about a mid-generation upgrade. Like your for all intents and purposes,
like a 1X.
Your 1X. Right. I'm not talking about Switch 2. Like I'm talking about an upgraded Switch, like your new 3DS, or however you want to look at your new 2DS or whatever. Like there will be a mid-generation upgrade probably in the next couple of years, I would guess.
Do you think it's going to get that technical, though? You think it's not going to just be like, here's a better screen?
No, I'm not going to say they're going to shove a whole desktop PC and that's going to be able to run things at the highest.
No one's asking for that. They need just a little bit more, obviously, to get these, because all these things have to be downgraded, right? So they just need a little bit more power.
I think 100% that if they do a mid-generation, I think the technology will be there and that they'll be able to pull it off and release it, that it will be able to do just enough more to stay relevant.
Interesting.
Like if they kept the same Switch they have now, yeah, I can understand where there's going to be an issue, but
because historically it's usually
I think there's still the willingness from third parties to develop things specifically for Nintendo.
No,
there are plenty of
yes. There's no problem right now. Like I don't see a problem.
There never has been in the past, other than the Wii U, which was a failure of a console. So that would. Yeah, I mean, people aren't going to spend money to develop something for something that's already dead.
When they launched it, they chose a shit time to launch a console, is what I'm saying, from a technical perspective. Because I don't see Nintendo doing technical upgrades to it. I see them doing upgrades that don't cause internals to change, aside from a bigger screen. Like, I see a bigger screen. I don't even think you can really make it thinner because the rails on the side are, like, the exact size of the... Of what it needs for the Joy-Con. So I expect like maybe a better battery, maybe it's lighter, maybe it's got a nicer screen on it and a bigger screen as well, and maybe it's got, I have no idea. Like,
I mean, that is a very Nintendo thing for them to do.
And that's the thing.
Rather than do the one thing that would help them stay relevant. I mean, I get what you're saying,
I'm
for
just
sure.
saying the positioning, it's like you showed up. like just at the wrong time, the wrong year, the wrong time.
If they were a year, but I mean, at the same time, I mean, it's sold how many millions of consoles now? I mean, and they were at 20 million at like,
but that's my thing.
Just over
like,
a year.
If you want to sell 20 million in 3.5 years, 4 years, whatever, right? Cool. But if you waited a little bit more, you put a little bit more things into it, maybe you could sell, 40 million over 6 years rather than, because it's going to be a hockey stick, right? You're going to sell a shit ton at the start. It's going to go up sporadically also, like in little waves when, a Smash and stuff comes out, because that's a huge thing, right? Same with Mario Kart, all that kind of stuff. I don't really know if Mario Party really had that big of effect on it, but games like that, games like Smash and stuff like that absolutely do. But the thing is, like, you're going to now be going on this downward trend, and then your downward trend is going to be hitting this really kind of gray area where it's like, here's new systems. And those new systems, for the first year that those new systems are out, it's kind of like that's also a gray area because people are getting those new systems, and like that's when people turn their Xbox One and One X off, and then they don't touch them ever again. Or they still have one and they're waiting to purchase another one, right? And you still have support back and forth, but then after that, it's kind of like everyone who's trying to make like Bethesda trying to make games is taking a look, and they're looking at what's the bigger market, these two consoles, rightfully so, and then they have the Switch as an afterthought, and that afterthought becomes less and less and less and less and less appealing with the amount of downgrading they have to do for your product. So that's my thing. It's just like, if it's clearly the direction is to keep advancing, and if we see anything through Red Dead and just even what the Xbox One X can do in difference for performance wise, and same with the PlayStation 4 Pro, like that curve at which we've accelerated the technical capabilities for Microsoft and Sony is just about to freaking launch to the moon with the next generations. Like, I'm betting you right now the next generations are insane in terms of their graphical capabilities. Like, absolutely fucking nuts. And that's the thing.
As they should be.
Right.
I mean,
but I think it's to a much bigger degree than we've ever had in any jump of any console. Like, I'm not talking like from, Xbox to Xbox 360. Like, this would be like jumping like two gens, man.
Yeah.
Of the technical, because now you're talking about an audience that you just upgraded now so that 4K is a standard, right? So whatever the hell you're putting in your box is unreal right off the get-go for that kind of stuff. So that's why I'm scared for. It's just the timing. I feel like this generation is just shit luck for Nintendo, where it's just going to be such this astronomical jump that even downgrading things might not be the best thing. Like, it might not be the best option. And then it's going to turn into that weird like paradigm of being in the Wii U section where it's going to be like, okay, cool, Mario Kart came out. Cool. I'll be there. New Mario Kart comes out. If a new I expect Mario Kart to come out before these things, but if a new Mario Kart gets announced and comes out when there's this next gen, I'll still go back to my Switch and play it. But again, it's only going to be the Nintendo thing. And then it becomes that thing where it's like, Nintendo's keeping the system alive. It's not, banking on, hey, this quarter Fallout 76 is coming to the Switch. No, it's not. It's never. Right? Like, oh, this game's never coming to Switch. No, it can't. It'll never come to Switch. Like, this is just
and
not
I understand.
Possible,
I understand what you're saying, but they still have a stranglehold on the mobile market. So mobile games will always come to the Switch, and so
they have it now.
Yeah,
though,
I understand
Microsoft
you're
Cloud
not going to
X.
be playing.
Cloud
Well,
X
yeah,
man. That's a big problem.
I get what you're saying, but that's not going to be here. I think the Switch will still have a couple years before that's an issue. Like, to where it is such a.
They're talking about doing that next year.
No, yeah. Hang on. I'm saying to where it is so widespread that it's to the whole public. I think they'll be running a beta next year, but it's not going to be something that automatically takes over everything we do. And even then, like, are you really going to want to sit there and play Call of Duty on a fucking phone or play? I mean, there's a lot of games that, yeah, it's awesome to play on a phone, but it's going to be tiny. You aren't going to be able to see shit. Like, there's going to be a lot of games that it's awesome for, and I'm super excited for it. But at the same time, I don't think it's going to be this killer that I think Nintendo is going to be A-okay. I think they're still going to have.
I think Cloud X is going to hurt them a fair bit.
I think it'll hurt them.
I think devs
sure.
are going to sit there and go,
I understand
okay, cool.
that, but it's not going to kill Nintendo.
No,
like, this console is still going to be doing well.
I don't think it's ultimately going to destroy it. I think it's going to take a lot from it, though. Because if you're a dev, you can sit there and be like, okay, cool. So I can either downgrade this game, put a lot of work into it, and get it onto a Switch. Okay, so my game's not the same anymore. Or it's on Xbox One already. I can use this development program internally already with my Xbox One build to now stream it to another device, to a tablet, to a phone, and then someone can play it with a controller. What am I going to do if I want portability, right? Like, because a lot of devs are like a lot of devs go like, oh my God, my game's never been able to be portable. This would be fantastic to get it on the Switch, right? Like, that's a dream. There's so many games. Yeah. I would love for Red Dead to be on a Switch. I mean, it's never going to happen, but could you imagine being able to take it wherever you want to go? That'd be the selling point of that would be fantastic. And that's my thing. Is like they miss out so much on it. And I get Red Dead's a bad example because the technical requirements on that from a portable standpoint would be ridiculous. It'd be like an $800 device, and it would be like, I'm assuming it would be pretty massive. Like, I don't think it would be as small as it is. I could be wrong, but whatever. But
it'd be a laptop in a fucking suitcase.
But that's what I see is like Xbox, and Sony damn well is going to get into that eventually as well. It's just like, if you're a dev and you sit there, you're like, okay, so portability matters to me, but like the quality of my product also matters. And if this is going to take like 6 months to do versus like a year and a half to downgrade this to be able to get onto a Switch, which one am I ultimately going to take? And that's the other thing too. Like, they might have sold 19 million units of them, that's fantastic.
They've sold well over that.
Sorry,
now.
It's what, like 25 million units or something like that, or 30?
Yeah, 20. Yeah, it's probably approaching 30 pretty quickly.
So they have that amount of units, which is fantastic. But I'm curious to see what the retainment of like concurrent players over, let's say in a week, maintains over the next, week or two. Like stuff like Red Dead's got to kick it in the ass. It's so hard to on a weekend.
Well, yeah, but
that's where I'm saying it's singled out.
See, yeah, but here's what I'm saying. Like, Nintendo has never been in direct competition with Xbox and PlayStation. They've never even been trying to do the same thing, right? Other than years ago, right? So you had like your N64 and your PlayStation 1. That was the only time they right. So I don't think Nintendo's looking at it at the same way you are. They are trying to do something completely different. Hang on. And so I don't think they're even concerned about Red Dead. I mean, that's not even on their radar. Like, they have their own little market that they deal with, and they have a ton of diehard Nintendo fans that will buy anything they put out. Yeah. And I understand they are going to take a hit when when stream goes live and all that, but that's not, I don't think they're worried about it, because that's not really what they're trying to do, and that's not really something that's, I understand, they are a company at the end of the day, but Nintendo does funky stuff like this all the time, and they do just fine. Like, I mean, the only exception in the past, 30 years that they've had is that Wii U. That is the only time they have had a console that is viewed as a utter failure. And that was just some bad choices, and I think that was dead on arrival, and I think the Switch is going to have a very similar life to about the Wii, would be my guess.
Really?
I think it'll have a very similar life to about a Wii. And maybe a little bit of a Wii mixed with like a 3DS type of deal, because I think it will still survive, because there are going to still be people that want to just sit down and play a handheld console rather than fucking around with playing with their phone and getting a controller out to hook their phone up or whatever. They just want to grab their Switch and sit down and play. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's what's going to keep it alive. I think more for the handheld. I mean, as a home console, obviously it's going to get murdered, but it's also not trying to play even the same game as those guys.
Right. But that's what, like, so they sold 20 million units as of August, or just shy of 20 million units as of August 2018.
Okay.
So
I was off a little bit then.
I
thought I had heard that number earlier in the year.
By Christmas time, they're probably going to be literally,
Right.
They'll be getting a lot of stuff, especially with Smash. Holy crap. No, that's my thing. That my point is just I get it. Yes, Nintendo. People always go buy Nintendo because that's the only place that they can go get it. A Nintendo game. I can't play Mario Kart anywhere else. My thing is just literally the timing. I don't think it'll be a Wii, because the whole thing that drove Wii was obviously motion control, and it was just so vastly different from everything else that any game that was built for it was generally just built Wii, right? And like that's the game that it was on, or it was some like Just Dance or whatever and stuff. Like if you want to get technical into some other smaller stuff, and it was also just that was revolutionary for all intents and purposes. As lame as it sounds, and as lame as looking back on it now,
it absolutely
huge,
was.
Right? And it was also something where it opened up a lot of casual gamers because people could play, Wii Sports, all that kind of stuff, and like you had old people playing it and stuff like that. But I just think I think once the next gen comes out, I think it's just a steep decline, because I think a game like a Red Dead, like a Fallout 76, and any other games coming down the path here that it can't technically run at all, is just going to take away from it. And I get that there's a Mario Kart coming back to it, but it's like, how many people do you bring back to one game, and how long do they stick around for versus leaving another one? And then every time that happens, like these bigger companies know what the sales are, not just on the console base, but what people are playing. If someone doesn't pick up their Switch for a couple months, it means they're not buying anything off the eShop, right, for a couple months. Yeah. So that when it comes down to that, you got to port these things, or you just come up with a whole new game and you're going cross-platform with it. Like I think there'll always be going forward. I think we'll hopefully start to see a lot of more cross-platform where it launches on all three, right?
Yeah.
Instead of just on one, or
and we already have seen a big jump in that,
which is great. But my thing is just like where we're headed. That technical leap, I think, is going to be vastly. Or extremely greater compared to previous generations, and with that there's just going to be the technical ability to not do those, and I think it's going to take people away from the Switch, and then it's going to cause companies to sit there and go, okay, cool, so there's 20 million of these, but when do they make money? Well, eventually it comes to a point where they only make money when Nintendo comes out with something. Which is fine if you can launch.
No, I fully understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
like I got what you're saying completely.
That's why I'm worried about it. If they come out with a new Switch,
I think it's still
like
going to do A-okay.
With technical stuff, brilliant. That'd be fantastic. But knowing their history with everything, even with the 3DS, like all they've done is make the screen bigger. They made the
that's not completely true though. From the 3DS to the new 3DS, there were games that literally only ran on the new 3DS. And not just literally because the 2DS and the 3DS could not run it.
Right. So
they have done technical improvements to their consoles, especially in the last couple of years. The new 3DS was only a handful of years old, and the new 2DS literally just launched, last year? Late last year? Something like that. So, they are fully capable of doing it, and I do believe that they could do it. Now, knowing Nintendo, who knows if they will do it, but no, I completely 100% understand what you're saying. I understand exactly what you mean. I understand that third parties are going to be looking at that, yes, but I really don't think Nintendo's going to take this hit that you're making it out to be. I think they're still going to be all right. It's not like the console's just going to die and then Nintendo has to scramble.
I'm saying that I think though, like when that new gen comes out, there'll be that gray year where people are still like seeing what it's like and buy them, and then people buy them and never turn their Xbox One on again ever because they go to the next one. But then after that, I think it's going to be a sharp one that'll be very weird unless they can come out with, Switch X or whatever the hell they're going to call it, and it's fundamentally from a technical perspective a lot better. But even at that point, it's like, does it even make sense to come out with like that middleman, because they're already technically like, they're like what like half a gen or like 0.75 of a gen back, you know what I mean? Like they're kind of in an odd space. So it's like if you catch up, like you're just kind of catching up to what that last gen was, which might be enough. But at that point, it's like, can even the other games play on that one? previous, and then you're kind of bastardizing, like, because right now on Xbox One X, like Red Dead works on Xbox One X and Xbox One, right? And it's mainly the 4K ability, right? The upresing to that, and system wise, it's got more memory for that upresing, as well as for the actual OS inside of the box itself, and for the game to be stable. But it's like, can you do that with being so far behind, but also trying to catch up at the same time without making a Switch 2? Because obviously, to your point, like you said, you're like 4 years into this. I guess in 2 years they could make a Switch 2. It'd be 6 years at that point. But it's just kind of a weird spot. Like, I'm just saying, like, everything that they did to launch it was weird. It's been successful to this point, and they have the Nintendo IP, and I hope that they, my God, every podcast I say it, but I hope they bring a Double Dash back. But I don't know. I feel like once that gen comes out, if they haven't done like extreme technical upgrades and either come out with a Switch 2 or found a way to get to that weird point of where they're just currently at now, but with a small little update where you're like getting the Switch S or Switch X or whatever you're going to call it, and you just slide your Joy-Cons into it, then I think that this is going to be a very weird gen, and it's just going to be a very quick decline for that system. I really do. Aside from the Nintendo IP.
I still disagree. I think developers will still make games specifically for the Switch. I mean, look at Octopath.
No, it's not about specific for the Switch.
No, I know, I understand that, but I don't think they need to make this giant jump to try to compete like you're saying. You keep saying trying to catch up, and I don't think they're going to try to keep up. They've always kind of specialized in these cartoony graphics that work on their consoles without having to be too demanding. And so I think there will still be third-party developers that will support Nintendo by making games specifically for their console, which is still going to drive Nintendo sales because those games can only be found on Nintendo consoles. I think it's going to be A-okay. I don't think it's going to be nearly as doom and gloom as you're making it out to be.
Well, we need to bet on it then.
All right.
We need to bet on it.
Okay. Let's do it.
I'm not saying people are always going to make private games for it. I'm saying cross-platform wise, they're going to miss out on that. And I get what you're saying.
But they always have.
But they always. Okay, great, fantastic. The thing is, though, I'm telling you, dude. The next gen going forward on this, I have an absolute feeling on this that it's going to be like leaps and bounds ridiculous, and we're going to benefit from it, and we're going to be happy with it. It's going to be freaking awesome. But I get Nintendo stays behind, and that's great. But they also, when they stay behind, they also risk a lot of things, and they stay in a really sweet area right now because they kind of control that area, and you're absolutely right. Like, they control that area that they sit in right now. But if people move too forward and they're just a little bit too far back right now, in my mind, it's not going to be good.
Yeah, but you also got to remember the first, 1 or 2 years of a new console, you're still supporting the last console, or else you are not going to have the install base. Right, so when you make a game, you still have to. So you're in all reality, you're looking at 4 years before Nintendo really has to step it up.
2.5 or 3. I honestly do. Again, we have to bet on this stuff for the console stuff,
which will still put the Switch. If it makes it 3 years, that still puts the Switch at 5 years old. So I mean,
but that's the thing. At that, and that's what I'm saying. I get what you're saying, and I'm just saying just for that, it's all timing based, right? And to where they're proportionally up against the competition, because I get it. They own their own stuff, but I'm just saying if it's 5 or 6 years, it's cool. Do you come out with a Switch 2? Would people be pissed? Do you think that's the right time? And if it's not, what do you actually change in the Switch as let's call it new Switch, because that's probably what they call it. But if you come up with a new Switch, what does that have in it, and what does it not have in it to make it a new Switch and not quantify it being something that bastardizes the rest of the Switch from not being able to, so much so to play things? Because I get it, the new 3DS stuff, there's a lot, there's games that can't play, but it's some games, it's not a massive
I'm not saying
right? So that's what I'm saying. It's just this weird spot where it's so if you're gonna make the Switch X, Switch R, whatever, how do you do that if there is this quantum leap in the other generations, you don't want to get too far ahead of where the Switch is right now, but you also don't want to announce a Switch 2 because it might be too soon for the market. That's where I'm like, shit.
That's why I'm saying they have, like, I bet you they have every bit of 4 years. Because you figure a new console will get announced next year probably, and then it'll come out in 2020 or late next year, whatever, something like that. Probably 2020. So then you're basically 2 years away, right?
Yeah.
Or, year and a half, whatever.
Yeah.
And so then now you still have this buffer period of like a year, maybe 2 years or so. So I bet they have 4 years to figure this out and figure out what they want to do. It's Nintendo, so who the hell knows what they're going to do? I mean, they could, for
QR
all
codes.
intents, I mean,
Friend
yeah,
codes.
they could do some off the wall, wonky ass backwards shit that doesn't make any sense at all. I mean, they could take it back another generation. Maybe they'll go back to fucking 16-bit games. Who knows? It's fucking Nintendo, man. I don't know. It's hard to tell, especially 4 years out, because technology changes so fast.
Exactly.
4 years in technology standard or in technology time is just unreal. I mean, so many things change in that. Look at 4 years. Yeah, absolutely. So I don't think it's going to be as bad as you think it is, but yeah, I understand what you're saying. I think it's going to be rough. It's going to
Will we see a technical add-on where you just clip it onto the top of the Switch? Like Wii Motion Plus.
Oh god. Yeah, probably. Why not?
Like you buy a case
goofy
and it's
ass
like
shit.
here's the 3D or Switch Deluxe, and it's a whole case, and you plug it in. It's got like extra fucking RAM, and it's got a different Snapdragon processor in the back of it and shit, and it's like 2 inches thick. My thing is like I don't hate Nintendo, and I don't think Nintendo, like, I know Nintendo runs its own shit because it owns it owns Mario, it owns like the keys to the kingdom right now in terms of IP, and just getting people to buy a system just for one game, But that's my thing, is this: I feel like it's in such a weird time. I don't know what the future holds for it. And if they continue to do this bloatware shit, it's not going to help anything with their store.
They need to get rid
of
of the bloatware shit just because nobody fucking wants it either. Like, it's just clogging up the eShop, and
their store's a mess
it's just
to begin with, from a UI perspective. So like,
and it's so easy for young kids or whatever to go in and just buy something that kind of looks cool, and it ends up just being a crap game that somebody...
Is there a lot of that?
Oh yeah, I'm
like,
sure there is.
That's something. So like, not that the App Store for for iPhone and stuff like that is immune to it, but there's a lot more vetting, and so now that I went back to Android, I've noticed like on Google Play that there's a ton of crap apps, that don't get vetted,
and that's the same stuff that's making it into
me.
the eShop. Yeah.
Wow.
It's bad. I feel like they definitely slipped up there, but it's kind of too late for them to go back on it now.
Right. Hey, everyone bring your games. No.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
We want to add hundreds and hundreds of games every day to the eShop. Yeah, no, nobody wants that.
How many of the adding do you think on average right now? Like, obviously you don't know. You don't work for Nintendo. Neither of us do, but
right.
Like, would you say like literally like every time you log in there's like a good 20 new games or 30 new games?
It depends on how often I log in, but I bet you every
2 weeks
every 2 or 3 days, I bet you there's probably, I don't know, 20, 30 games every 2 or 3 days maybe.
Oh my god. And like the quality out of those 20 or 30, there's maybe like 2 or 3.
Yeah. I mean, you got your main Switch releases usually on Thursdays. Yeah. So any Switch thing, not any, I guess I shouldn't say, but a lot of the Switch games that come out throughout the week are just crap. I mean, just junk.
And they're like 99 cents and stuff like that?
There's stuff that's 99 cents, and then there's some of them that they throw in there that are like $20 that are still crap. And you can just go in and look at the pictures or read the description, and you can tell like the localization and the translation on just the description of it is garbage. So that kind of, I mean, that's not always a telltale thing, but it's usually a pretty good sign. And then you just look at the pictures and you're like, oh god, this looks an awful lot like a mobile game, and holy shit, this is Clash of Clans. Like, fuck.
Clash of Clans ripoff.
Yeah.
On Switch. Oh my God!
It's
Wow,
just awful.
Well, hey, we'll have to take bets, and as we get closer and closer and closer to E3, we'll have to obviously make our bets as to what's being announced and what's being shown off. But hey, until then. Thanks guys so much for listening to the show. Again, today's podcast was brought to you by Audible. You can get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/diggity. You get access to over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, your Android, your Kindle, or your MP3 player. You can follow us on Instagram at Diggity Podcast. Gamer tags. Brody, what is your gamer tag?
Luscious Brody. Thanks, Jeffrey.
That's on Xbox, by the way, too. And my gamer tag on Xbox is Maple Jeff, like maple syrup, because we love stereotypes on this show. We don't. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
No, I take it back. If you can do so, please leave us a review. Helps us out a ton. Gets more eyes on the show. Gets more people into the community of Diggity, which we've never really come up with a name for people in our community.
Could it be like a Diggity gang? In light of Red Dead.
Diggity gang?
Diggity gang.
Yeah, so
Diggity gang.
There you go. When you leave a review, it helps with two things. One, it lets us know if we need to change anything to the show, so it makes the show better. And two, it helps exposure for the show for people to join the Diggity gang, which we just came up with right now. So we're rolling with it, and that's it.
We
just
might
like
have
Luscious
to.
Brody, we have no, we can't go back.
No, it's gonna stay.
No, it's a one and done on this show.
Oh God.
That's it. I mean, that's it.
No take backsies, huh?
No, man. No, like a blood oath. The first, even if it's it could be spelt wrong. Diggity gang can be spelled with one G, and we still got to use it. Until next time, guys, we'll see you for the Friday show, and that's it. I mean, shit. This is a weird end to the show.
It was a little weird.
I don't know what to end off with. What do I?
Should we just say bye? Bye?
Keep on cowboying out there, folks.
Yeehaw.
Yes. Yeah.